this week is normal, and then next week we can, everything seems to be changed. So,
Get used to that.
yes, get comfortable, sit however you want on blankets. If you feel like you'd rather sit up on 2 blankets, do it, or 3 blankets, or 4 blankets. Well, there's, you know, one person may come in. We know, we won't name names. But
I'll just watch you.
certainly a chance that somebody else will come in late,
You're
so.
a good person to watch.
So, just shift around, get yourself easily seated between your sitting bones. Actually, instead of rocking forward and back, let yourself just rock side to side a couple times. It's starting to feel, actually really starting to wake up. And then come on back into center and let yourself lengthen out through the top of your head. Feel your feet, whatever part of your feet are on the floor, touching the floor. And now, just see, let yourself kind of move your mouth around a little bit, kind of open and close, and feel your sense of what your tongue's doing. Yawn if you need to. And then just lengthen up through the top of your head, feeling your face soften. Starting to watch your breath coming in and going out through your nose. Start to circle your torso with your breath. And they can be really small circles, or you can go bigger and bigger. Let your hands rest wherever feels comfortable. Just feeling those easy circles in one direction. Letting your exhales bring you forward and your inhales bring you back. Ready to stop and go in the other direction, stop wherever you choose to, and then just go back in the other direction. Let it feel very easy to feel the breath moving the body. Next time you end up back at center, let yourself stay there. Come on up to sitting nice and tall and letting your hands now release on out beside you. And let's inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands right down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. Inhaling here. And on the exhale, twisting to your right. Now I'm going to mirror you guys, so let yourself come on around. Left hand can be on your right knee or in the midline if that's better for you. And now just very softly start to turn your head back to the left. So you're just turning back to look over your left shoulder a little bit. One more inhale here. And as you exhale, turn back around now. So you bring your head back around into the twist. You may even want to look a little farther behind you. One more inhale. And let your exhale bring you all the way back into center again. Take a nice inhale here. And on the exhale, we're going to twist the other way. So bringing yourself around, let your spine get sort of situated there. Let yourself get acclimated there. One more inhale. And on your exhale, your head's going to turn back to your right so that you just keep on going and let yourself look back over your right shoulder there. Opening across that left side of the chest. One more inhale. And as you exhale, turn the head back. Now you're going to come on back around, and again, maybe looking back behind yourself a little more. One more inhale. And as you exhale, use your belly to bring you on back around into center. And let's inhale our arms up and then bring our right arm on top of our left. Give ourselves a hug wherever you want to hold. You know, you can go down lower towards your armpits. You can go up and over your shoulders. Just be mindful. Let your head move around a little bit however feels good. You know, maybe tilting, maybe bringing the head down, chin towards your chest, rolling a little bit. And then come on back to rise your head on back, chin parallel to the floor. We're just going to switch the cross of the arms, so bringing the other arm on top. And again, just sort of adjust yourself to where you feel like the most release is happening between the shoulder blades on your back. And you can add your head, doing what you want to do with your head, right? You can move around a little bit. You can tilt your head side to side. You can roll through, chin towards your chest. If you find a tight place back there between your shoulder blades and you just find this certain angle you need to stay with your head there, do. One more breath. And then we're going to release and bring our arms on down. And we are going to switch the cross of our legs. So if you need to stretch your legs out, kind of in between sides, move through your feet a little bit, do. And then coming into that other leg in front, we're going to come on forward into a seated forward bend. So adjust however you need to with your legs. Take your time. You may want to stay up high and keep your back long. You may feel really good to fold a little bit forward over your legs. Let it feel good. Let your back release, your hips release. If you need to grab your block to put your forearms or your head on a block, by all means do. Good, and come up enough. Now we're going to walk out over towards our right thigh. So let yourself just come out over to the side and let your hands go as far out away from you as you can, right? And that might be different for everybody. If you need to keep your back lengthened, you might be up higher, but still you want your hands out as far as possible to where you're getting the most out of it. One more breath. And then we'll walk back through center, and we're going to go out over to the left. And then again, once you get there, kind of send your hands out as far as you can where you're okay to be. And once you get there, just stay and be with your breath. Feel that release through the side waist. Let yourself allow your breaths to come in and go out fairly evenly. We'll walk our hands back. Come on back into center for a breath. And then we'll walk ourselves on back up. Letting your hands come on out to the floor beside you. We'll inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And then from here, bring your legs on out and just a little wide angle, not wide at all, just enough between your feet where you feel kind of good to be. And you can kind of rotate your legs in and out, right? Toes can kind of go up and then out. You can rotate. You can let your knees be soft. Just be really easy. Feel that sense of moving from your hips, right? And then just come on into flexing the feet and slide your hands down your legs, maybe to your knees or your shins. Maybe you feel like, oh, I just feel good to reach my toes and let myself open up the backs of my legs. So you go where you can. Nice. And then we're going to slowly make our way on back up. And we're going to come on around towards our hands and knees. So take your time to get whatever kind of support you need under your hands or your knees or both. Remember, if you need to be on fists, do it. If you need to come to your forearms, do it. And just start to flow through your back when you feel really ready. If you need to adjust a little bit once you get there, maybe you're like, well, my hands need to be a little more under me or my knees. Just take your time. Let your body adjust. Flow through your back a little bit here. Finish off the one you're on. Come on back to more neutral. Let's slide down onto our forearms. And go ahead and clasp your hands just for a minute, but keep your hips up in the air, but shift them back just a little bit. And let your chest melt down towards the ground, right? So you're coming into your shoulders. You're feeling that release there between the shoulder blades on the back. You can put your head on the floor if you want. That is totally up to you. Your forehead can come down to the floor if it feels good. One more breath. And then let yourself rise on back up to your hands. Let's take our blocks, and you can use any height you want. And let's bring our left foot forward and come on into keeping that back knee on the floor. Shift forward a little bit. Let yourself wake up there into your thigh, your right thigh, and into the front of your hip, pressing gently into your toes back there. Good, and then shift your hips up and back, and let's come into straightening that left leg out and extend a little bit out over that front leg. So you're coming into the hamstring of your left leg. So just kind of waking up, really, both the front and the back of the leg here. One more breath here. And then we're going to shift again forward and go back to where we came from. So pressing into the top of the right toes, letting yourself come forward and waking up there into the thigh and really opening up in the front of that right hip. And then one more time we'll shift backward, letting that left foot come up so the heel is on the ground and you're really getting into your hamstring there. Good, and now just bring that left knee on back because all we're going to do is bring the right foot forward. So again, as you start to bend into that front knee, and you know, we're all different, how far you go, totally up to you. Press into the top of the left toes, let yourself wake up the front of the hip there and the thigh. Good, and then we're going to shift our hips back, straighten that right leg out, let ourselves extend out over that leg. Get into the back of the leg a little bit. Don't overdo. We're just warming up here. Just let it feel good. Good. We're going to shift forward again. And again, as you press into the top of that foot, just let yourself have fun with that. And then we'll shift hips back again and come into that straighter right leg. Extend your torso out over the leg. Good. From here, bring that right knee back down to the ground. We're going to step the left foot forward, and this time we'll come on up and do our full lunge, curling the toes under, coming on up. Draw your shoulders down. Let yourself enjoy coming into your lunge, whatever height you want to be with your hands. And we're going to switch legs again, bringing that right foot forward. Good. And come all the way forward into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Be mindful, whatever you need to use to support yourself, use it. If you feel like you need to use hands on your blocks or elbows above your knees, just be mindful and let it feel good. Move around however you need. Like if you like to walk a little bit in your forward bend, or if you like to shift your hips side to side, or shift your weight forward and back on your feet. Just let it feel good. Let the body just start to adjust however it needs. Good. One more breath. And we'll bring our hands to our hips. We're going to rise on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts, coming into our mountain pose. So Adjust however you need to for your feet. Really look at your feet if you need. Make sure you're pretty equal between your feet. And let your hands come gently to meet in front of your chest, bringing your gaze on forward, feeling that connection between each of your fingers. And now see about keeping your pinkies and your thumbs long, but fold the rest of your fingers down, like you're clasping your hands, interlacing your fingers, but you still have your pinkies and your thumbs long. And kind of squeeze down a little bit with your fingers to the backs of your hands, and even squeeze those fingers a little bit together that are clasped there. Feel your palms. Feel some energy up into your biceps and your shoulders. And then go ahead and come back to letting the fingers come out and come long and meet each other again. So you have your hands together there. And we will unfold our arms right on down beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend our knees. Come on forward into our standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, find a nice long flat back. Lengthen out your spine. Really enjoy finding that sense of a flat back. And we'll step our right foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So take your time, spread your fingers wide. Coming into this first dog, you do whatever you need to do. Walk, bend your knees, let your head move around if that helps you to. Just be mindful of letting your body adjust on its own, right? Getting you more comfortable in your dog pose, getting you more balanced feeling, equal between your hands, equal between your feet. And on the next inhale, we'll come on out to a plank. Nice and strong plank. Engage the belly there. Let your elbows bend just a teeny tiny little bit. And hug them in a little bit when you do that. And then lower your knees down. And let's come very slowly down to the floor, coming through that half plank. And from here, let's come on into Sphinx, bringing our elbows under our shoulders, bringing your gaze between your hands there. Just be mindful of feeling that openness in the front of the body, but feel the belly just very gently engaging and protecting your low back. And then we're going to come back down and slide our hands back by our chest. Curl your toes under here. Lift your knees up. So you're kind of stretching out the bottoms of your feet. Engage your belly. Your tailbone's probably kind of curling down a little bit here. Good, and then release your thighs back to the floor, come back to the tops of the feet, and inhale up into a little cobra. And if you want to go higher, you can. Not necessary. You can stay low, or you can press up higher into your cobra pose. Be where you can be. And then we're going to lower back down to the floor. We're going to come back to down dog, however you choose to get there. Making your way back into your dog. Spreading those fingers nice and wide now. Feel your hands on the floor. And we'll bring our right foot forward to come into lunge here. And you can put your left knee down to get there. You know that. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bent. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Easy deep breaths. Really nice full deep breaths. Let your arms do whatever they want. You know, you might want to hold your elbows. You might want to put your hands on your back. You might want to use your hands on your feet or on your blocks. Be mindful and really appreciate the weight of your head here for a couple of breaths. Feel that heavy, heavy head. Just allow the backs of the legs to naturally open up just from being in your standing forward bend, Uttanasana. So one more breath. And now when we rise up, we're going to let our arms be like wings. We're going to press into our feet, let our arms come out beside us as we inhale the arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Lift your elbows up a little bit here. Really feel the hands gently coming more together. Feel your wrists too. And then from there, let yourself separate your hands, but let the tips of your middle fingers touch and your hands face, your palms are facing down. And now from here, start to send the backs of your hands a little more towards each other. Now don't push hard. You don't want to push hard, but you do want to just feel your wrists there. And then we're going to unfold our arms beside us. We're going to inhale the arms out and up overhead. Now watch this one. Fingertips are going to touch up here. And then we're going to do that same thing. Send your fingertips down. Let the backs of the hands come towards each other. That's going to lead you down into your standing forward bend. And on your next inhale now, let your hands support you. Inhale into your long back. And we'll exhale the left foot back this time and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Walk your dog a little bit. Wag your tail around a little bit. Let a little movement happen there. Bend your knees if you need to. You know that. Then bring your feet just a little closer together. Lift your right leg up in the air behind you. Bend the knee and stack the right hip on top of the left. Let yourself just open that hip a little bit there. Now see if you can stay open in the hip, but stretch the right leg long. Flex the foot. Good. And now turn the toes back down towards the ground and then lower it down. So as you bring the left foot up and you bend the knee and you stack that left hip on top, you can look under your left arm if you want. Let the right heel kind of descend towards the ground. Now see if you can stretch that left leg long. Flex the foot. Really press into the inside of the heel there. And then turn your toes down, square your hips. And we're going to bring that foot on back down. Good. Walk your dog a little bit. And then on our next inhale, we're going to come out to plank. We're going to lower down however you choose. And we'll come into that cobra again. You can go fully or you can go small cobra. You can go into Sphinx if you'd rather. And then from here, we're going to shift back towards pose of a child. So let yourself come on back towards child's pose, and only as deeply as you want to go. If you can, bend your elbows and put your hands right on your upper back. Let yourself release there. Imagine your chest melting down towards the ground. Full deep breaths. And then unfold your arms back out overhead. Spread your fingers. Inhale your way up to all fours. And curl your toes under. Come on back into downward facing dog pose. And we will bring our left foot forward to come into lunge here. And then we'll come all the way back into our Uttanasana, standing forward bend. So again, be mindful. Actually, try to lift all your toes up. And once they're all up there off the floor, see if you can take your fingers and kind of massage one toe at a time. And you can do both feet, like your right hand works on your right toes, your left hand on your left toes. You're just going to kind of massage through each toe a little bit, feeling from the root through to the middle, maybe even squeezing all the way to the tip of your toe a little bit. Just wake up your toes. Give your toes a little bit of love and attention. And then when you're ready, releasing to let the toes come softly, really softly down to the floor. Let your knees soften. Feel the four corners of your feet into the floor. Feel your sitting bones over your heels. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips, bend our knees, and rise on up to standing. And inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Enjoy your mountain pose for a couple of breaths. If you're swaying around, let yourself sway around. Let it feel easy. Just feel the air around you. Imagine the air around you really is what's holding you up. So it's very effortless, very easy. Once you're aligned, very easy to be in your mountain pose. We will unfold our arms right back down beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up, and let our exhale carry us forward. Let your next inhale lengthen out your spine, and exhale right foot back into lunge. And inhale, exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Let your inhale bring you to your plank, and let your exhale lower you down. And we'll inhale into our cobra of choice. And exhale back into downward facing dog pose. Inhale. Exhale right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale till you're standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way to the top with your breath. And let your exhale bring you forward. Inhale, nice long back. And exhale, left foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your down dog. Inhale your way out to plank. Your exhale lowers you down. Your inhale brings you up to cobra. Your exhale brings you back to dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way to the top. And on the exhale, we're going to come forward again. Inhale, find that long back. We're going to come into down dog, however you want to get there. So bring yourself into your down dog. Take your time, walk a little bit, wag your tail. Look at your hands briefly. So come out over and just look at your hands for a second. So you can see that they're equal. Nice. And then reach back through your sitting bones, through your tailbone. Find that long back again. Very nice. And from here, we are going to bring our left foot forward. We're coming up for warrior one, and we want one of our blocks handy. So take your time, get yourself established there in your feet and in your hips all the way up so that when you square your shoulders off, you feel fine in how you're positioned in the back leg. For a second, bring your hands behind you and just softly let your hands rest. Interlace your fingers, or maybe you want to hold, you can always use your left hand to hold your right wrist if that feels better than interlacing fingers. Everybody's hands are different. Find what feels really good. And then feel the shoulders nice and square. Feel the feet even in the floor. And think about your arches lifting up on both feet. So just thinking of the arch lifting up on this back foot creates more space right here in the front of your hip. Good. One more breath here. See if you can do actually one more. Make it a 3-part breath. Inhaling into the belly, into the ribs, up into your chest. And then release your arms on down. We're going to bring our hands to meet in front of our heart. And we're going to inhale the hands right on up through the midline. Now once they get higher than your head, interlace your fingers, clasp your hands, send your pointer finger up. Hug your elbows towards each other a little bit so they're still quite bent. And then from there, think of the elbows rising up higher. And you can look up a little bit too if you choose. And you can stay here. You can decide, well, I want to let my arms come really long and hug my elbows in towards my head because it feels great. Or you may feel with your shoulders that it feels better to keep your arms a little forward of your head, right? So just be mindful. Let it feel really good. Finding your warrior one here. Feel your feet in the floor. Arches lifting up. Feeling that rise up the front of the body as you inhale and that flowing down the back of the body when you exhale. One more breath. And then as you bring your gaze forward, release your hands, but circle them around behind you. And bring your hands together, either clasp back there, or you can hold your elbows if you want. We're going to straighten the front leg out. Draw that right hip around square. So if you need to adjust your stance a little bit, do. And then come on forward into pyramid pose. Thighs are lifting up towards the hips. You can stay just a little bit forward. You don't have to go any farther. If you feel uncomfortable without putting your hands down, don't push it. So let your thighs engage up towards the hips, creating space in your knees there. One more breath. When you're ready to put your hands down, go ahead and find the surface you want to use, the floor or the blocks, whatever works. And again, as you find that length of the spine, now imagine you're drawing your hip pointer bones towards each other with your belly. But while the belly is doing that, now send your tailbone back. So now you've got a lot going on. If you feel good to fold over that front leg, feel free to do it. If you'd rather stay up higher, do. But take your time, let yourself enjoy. Remember, you don't want to just depend on your bones. You're not like just locking your knees. It is that engagement of the thighs upward, lifting, that really creates such a lot of work going on around your knees and your legs. One more breath. And now we're going to come up enough because we're going to walk over towards a wide-legged forward bend. You can use your blocks or not. Let yourself walk on, adjust the stance, get those feet pretty parallel. Once you get adjusted, keep walking over towards your right foot. Go as far as you want to go. You can stay in front of the foot or you can hold on to the outside of the foot. Just let yourself, once you get there, stay. And feel the left foot pressing a little more away from the midline if you can. So you get a little more into that inner left thigh. And then we're walking back through center and we're going to go the other side. So again, you go only as far as you want. Blocks can be in front of your foot. You can go all the way to the outside of the foot. Once you get to where you're going to stay, feel the right foot pressing away from the midline. So you really get into that inner thigh. You feel the outside of the leg too. And then come on back into center. From here, let both your knees bend. Let your elbows come above your knees and just let the tips of your fingers and the tips of your thumbs touch right there so that you can lengthen out your spine and your fingers are just lightly touching. Let that connection feel good there. And let yourself release into that squat, really, that nice long back. And then we're going to come on forward or do whatever you need to come into the pose to stay for a few breaths. So if you want to let your hands come down towards between your feet, maybe you want to grab blocks and be up with blocks under your forearms or your hands or your head. You know, anything that feels really comfortable to you, let yourself go there. And now receiving those breaths in and out. Accepting the breaths. One more nice full deep breath. And we're going to walk ourselves back out so that we can walk back to the left foot and come back to lunge. And wake ourselves up again to come into downward facing dog pose. Walk to the tops of the feet a couple of times. Stretch out your feet by pressing into the toenails 1 foot at a time. And, you know, just take your time to do that. You can let the leg be kind of long to do that when you curl the toes under like that. Or you can bend the knee, you know, and press in that way. And both those things feel kind of different, right? When you're ready, come on back, meet a dog. Let's come on out to plank. Let's play a little bit with 3 legs. Lift 1 foot up. See if you can bring that knee in and down towards the ground of that foot that's off the floor. And then stretch it back long again and put it down. And we'll do the other leg. Lift the foot up a little bit. Bend the knee. Bring it down like it's coming down towards the ground. And then stretch it back to 3 legs. And then put it down. And now let's release down to the mat however you want to get there. And let's come on up onto our fingertips and into a little tiny cobra that way, where just the tips of your fingers and thumbs are on the floor. Let yourself take a breath there. And then release down with your head. Now bring your hands behind you. Clasp your hands. And then see if you can. Slide your hands down your bottom. Let your head float up and then float your legs up. So you're in like a locust pose here. So take your time. Feel as open as you can across your chest. 1 more breath here. And then release to come on back down. Bring your hands by your chest. We're going to come on back into down dog, however you choose to get there. Good. Walk a little bit. Bend 1 knee at a time. If you want to do any more vinyasas or kriyas, go for it before we do the other side. Totally up to you. You can come forward. You can do anything you want. You can do child's pose. You can move into vinyasa or kriya, or you can stay in dog. Good. So finishing off the one you're on, we'll meet back in down dog. And this time we're bringing our right foot forward. We're coming up for warrior one. So take your time, get your stance, remember, so it doesn't matter in your warrior one stance if your feet are heels lined up or your feet are a little bit wider apart. Let it feel good. Bring your hands behind you, and again, you can either clasp them or use your right hand and encircle your left wrist, or whatever feels the most comfortable, really. Feeling that openness across the chest. Remember in warrior one, your tailbone's kind of reaching back on a diagonal line. You're not trying to tuck your tailbone up under you, but you do have to really zip up the belly. Good. One more 3-part breath here. And then we'll release, bring our hands to be in front of our hearts. And then inhale the hands up. And see if you can clasp your hands, send your pointer finger up, hug your elbows in. They can stay bent. Elbows can lift up a little higher, feeling that lift at the base of the shoulder blades. And then you're on your own. You can straighten your arms out more if you want to. Let yourself feel that huge lift in the front of the body. And that release down the back of the body. Feet equal in the floor. Imagine your arches of both feet are lifting up away from the floor. 4 corners of the feet into the floor. One more breath. And then as we look forward, we're going to circle our arms around behind us. We're going to straighten that front knee out, and however you want to hold your hands back here, right? You can do reverse namaste hands. You can hold your wrist. You can hold your hands, your elbows. Now, really let yourself take your time if you can to stay here before putting your hands down for a breath or two, feeling those thighs lift up towards the hips. Good. One more breath. Now, when you do release your hands down, sometimes that just, I don't know, sometimes you just have to readjust because you just want a little more in the pose and you just got to adjust your stance a little bit. So go ahead, feel the belly working now. Again, remember you're trying to draw your hip pointer bones towards each other, but sending your tailbone back a little bit. And then if you like to fold and bow over that front leg, you can. Remember that engagement of the thighs, lifting, feeling the muscles all around your knees. One more breath. And then come up enough to walk around into that wide-legged forward bend. So again, you might want to adjust your feet. You might need to. Have your blocks if you need them. Once you get there, go ahead and bend a knee at a time. Let yourself be mindful of just letting a knee bend. If you like to turn your toes out and do those, you can turn your toes out and come into the bending of the knee or the lowering of the hips, the foot coming off the floor too, if that feels good. Just be mindful. Let it, whatever feels good today, what feels like the best stretch for you today. And then once you make your way back into center, go ahead and parallel those feet out again. Get your feet more parallel here. And walk your hands out like you're coming out towards a plank. So you're going to walk out, you're going to come all the way like you're in a plank, except you're real wide with your feet. Feel your belly. Let yourself bend your elbows a little bit towards each other. Come back to straighter arms, and then just walk your hands on back again. Put your elbows above your knees for a second. Bend your knees. Let yourself stretch out there. And then we're going to do that one more time. Walk your hands out. Walk out like you're coming into that plank. If you can do a little push-up, let yourself do it. Let the elbows bend. Let yourself come into a little push-up. And then walk back again. And this time, set up to be with your breath, wherever you want to be in the pose. Blocks if you need. Forearms on blocks if you need. Head on blocks if you want. Just breathe and be with those nice, full, even, deep breaths. more full deep breath. And we're going to walk our hands out because we're going to walk back to our right foot. And we're going to come on back into lunge and back into our downward facing dog pose. Good. This time walk just a little bit. Let's do a little side plank work. Let's come on out to plank and go onto our right hand. If you want to, put your right knee down too and do that variation, or you can do a full side plank if you choose. Letting yourself come into some upper body work strength here. And then we'll come on back down and we're going to just go to the other side. So again, you can do the left knee down. You can let yourself come into that full side plank. And then we'll come on back again. And let's move back into down dog. And then let's all come on out to plank. And if you don't want to do a back bend, don't. But if you do, you can come through Vinyasa or Kriya and come into an up dog. Or if you'd rather come down and do a Sphinx, do. Just move through a couple of times if you can do those. If not, don't. Don't push anything with your shoulders. Take your time. Rest in child's pose if you'd rather. Good. And we'll meet back in down dog. And from there, we're going to bring our left foot forward, and we're coming up for warrior two this time. So just get yourself situated. Get your heels in line. Get yourself situated with your legs and bring your hands above your head here and start to press upward into your palms, right? So now if you need your arms to come forward, do. Or you can press the hands directly up overhead. Now take your time, turn your head to look left with your arms like this. Look down, make sure your knee's okay there. You're not going too far forward. And then bring your gaze back forward again. Press up into the heels of the hands, feel your shoulders soften down. Feel that sense of length through both sides of your body. And now as you release your hands, they're going to float down into your warrior two arms, reaching out through both sets of fingertips, really feeling soft in the tops of the shoulders. We're going to straighten the front knee out, and we're going to come into triangle pose. Left hand is going to come down. And you know you can bring the hand anywhere you want, to a block, to your leg. Totally up to you. Feel the thighs lifting up towards the hips. From here, see if you can let your right arm come down more towards your head and come into a little more of a side stretch with your palm facing down towards the ground. Good, and then bring the arm back up, straight up for triangle. One more breath. And then turn to look at the floor, and we're going to bring our hands down and find lunge. I like to use blocks when you find your lunge. It's up to you. Because right away, we're just going to go right into twist. Left hand onto the low back, left arm up if you want. Take your time. If you want to do twisted prayer, go ahead. You can bring your right elbow to your left knee. Really enjoy lengthening out here. Good. And then we'll come on back down with the hand. We're going to come on back into down dog from here. So make your way back to dog. You're on your own. Vinyasas or Kriyas, 2 or 3 of those, go for it. We're heading into the last series here. So finish off the one you're on. And let's meet again into right foot forward for our warrior two. So lining up those heels and getting yourself aligned with that front knee. And be really mindful. Get that length of stance where you feel good. Bring your arms overhead. Actually, for a second, take your right hand and just kind of pull up your left wrist a little bit. And do the same thing on the other side. Your left hand's going to take your right wrist and pull it up. Oh, I just got to pop. And then bring your hands together and turn those palms up. And again, you can have the arms forward. You don't have to be directly up. Press up into the heels of the hands if you can. Turn your head to look to the right. Let yourself enjoy. So it feels different when your hands are like this, to turn your head. Now, when you think about releasing the hands and floating, they're going to float right on down into warrior two arms. And your shoulders, don't they just want to go down too? Feels great. Press out with the feet. Feel the fingertips reaching gently away from the midline. Feel the feet in the floor. As we straighten our front knee out, we're going to bring our right hand down for a triangle. You can use a block. You can use your leg. Feel your thighs lifting up towards your hips. Let yourself enjoy the torso extending out over that front leg. And now if you can let the left arm come down closer to your head, do. You know, if that hurts your shoulder, don't do it. Turn the palm down, let yourself find a little more side stretch there. Good, and then bring the hand back straight up from your shoulder. If any of you want to turn to look up at your hand, do. One more breath there. And now we're going to turn to look down. We're going to come into lunge. So remember, you may want your block. You may decide you'd rather do your twisted prayer. Totally up to you. You can bring your right hand to your right hip, roll your shoulder up, stretch your arm up if you want, or you can, if you want, do twisted prayer. Left elbow to your right knee. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to release to come on back down and back into downward facing dog pose. And really let your body do exactly what it wants. This is the last vinyasas or kriyas. It's pretty easy just to stay in dog and not even worry about doing anything else. Or put your knees down and rest in child's pose. Just be mindful. Again, it's instead of forcing yourself into doing something, just listen to what your body really wants you to do. Good. And we'll meet back in down dog. So once you're in dog, bend your knees quite deeply and just think, do you want to jump towards the front of your mat or do you want to walk your feet? So you come forward however you want, stepping or jumping or walking into your standing forward bend. And now if you can, do that same lifting of the toes up and take your hands to just one at a time, just kind of squeeze your toes a little bit. It doesn't matter whether you start with the pinky and go through to the big toe, or maybe you like to start at the big toe and go towards the pinky, or maybe you like to do each of them twice. Just let it feel good. And then when you're ready, let your toes really softly melt down into the floor. Bend your knees a little bit. Bring your hands up to your hips. And let's rise on up to standing. Really be aware of how your toes feel though. And let's inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down, but let our heads float up. It's almost like your head's not connected anymore. It's just floating up there. Enjoy the energy flowing through your body. And then we'll go ahead and let our arms come on down and do whatever you need to do. Shake out, swing anything around. We're going to bring our mats to a wall. We're going to come on in and bring the short edge in, and we're staying there so we can have a little more fun. So let's start with left hand to the wall, and we'll come into a tree pose. Whether you like to put your right foot into your inner calf, your inner thigh, or even keep your toes on the floor and put your heel on your inner ankle. There is no big deal about bringing your foot up high in tree pose, all right? You really instead want to keep that sense of your hips being square. You can bring your left hand up the wall if that helps you. You start to get that rise in the belly, and then maybe you want to let your hands come up, or maybe you want to keep your hands at your heart. Just let it feel good. If you need to use the wall today, use it. Find that place to look. Remember where you feel that sense of length in the back of your neck and throat. Bring your left hand back to the wall. Bring your right hand to pull your right knee up a little bit towards your shoulder. Right? So really letting that outward hip rotation happen. Now if anybody wants to hold behind that leg and lengthen it out, or to reach down and get hold of your foot and stretch the leg out to the side, you can. Totally optional. You don't have to have the knee straight, right? You don't have to balance either if you don't want. And then we're going to bring the foot back down. Send the knee down and reach back and take hold of the top of your right foot, pressing that foot into your hand. Send the knee back. Let your chest come forward. So whether you balance in dancer's pose or just stay right here, that's up to you. You can keep your hand on the wall, enjoy the openness across your chest, or you may decide that you want to float your arm up and balance a little bit. Totally up to you. Good. And then when you do release, just step on down and walk around a little bit. Take care of that leg you're standing on. So, and of course, shake out the one your right leg as well. So we're going to turn around and we're going to come onto our right foot and come into tree pose. Again, whether your foot is inside your calf or up into your inner thigh, just being really okay in your hips. Letting yourself enjoy, right? So you may decide you want to balance. You may decide that it's a day you have to keep your hand on the wall. Doesn't matter. Keep your gaze at a spot where you can focus. Feel the foot gently coming into your leg gently coming back into your foot. Good. Put your right hand back on the wall. Let your left hand draw your left knee up and in towards your shoulder a little bit. And that might be enough. If you don't want to reach and hold behind the thigh and stretch the leg out a little bit, you don't need to. If you do like to reach down for your foot and let the leg extend, you can do that. And you can decide you want to try to balance a little bit there or not. And then we'll bring the foot back so that we can send the knee down and reach our left hand back. Get hold of the top of the foot if we can. If you can't get it, just bend the knee. You're still getting your quad stretch in, right? Press the foot into your hand. If you like to come forward with your chest and back a little with your knee, you can. And again, you can keep the hand on the wall. Just be mindful. Let it feel good. And then we're going to release and come on down and walk around a little bit. We're going to come right on down onto our bellies on the floor. So take your time, come down, and let yourself come to the tops of your feet. Come on into Sphinx Pose just to let yourself release there. So once you get on the tops of the feet, hopefully that brings release. And then also when you come into the Sphinx, it brings release to the core of the body and the back and the hips. Good. And then clasp your hands together. Send your pinky finger out. And you can either bend your knees, come up to a half forearm plank, pulling yourself towards the front of the mat. Or you can put your toes down, lift your knees up, and pull yourself towards the front of the mat. Either one of those does quite a good job of really engaging the core body. So be where you can. Let yourself feel. As you pull yourself towards the front of the mat, feel how much more is going on there in the belly, in the low back, in the hips. One more breath. Good. And then come on down. Make a little pillow with your hands. Rest your forehead. And now draw your knees out to the sides of your mat. And you're going to put the soles of the feet together like you're in Baddha Konasana. All right, so now everybody's different. Don't try to push your feet down towards the ground. If you can, from here, let yourself just shift your elbows back a little bit, or maybe raise your head up off your hands. If that's too much, don't do it. Sometimes it brings even more relief in the hips. Frog. And what I like to do, I don't know if you're supposed to do this, but if you send one foot down towards the ground and keep the other one kind of up, and then switch and do the other foot down all the way to the floor, to me that helps me release even more of my hips. But, you know, that's just a personal thing. So we'll just be for another breath there if you can. You can always put your head back down if you want. You can even be up higher if you want, like on your forearms, right? That is totally up to you. And then bring your feet on up in the air. Bring your knees closer together. Let your knees just come a little bit, your lower legs just come a little bit from one side to the other. And then release to come all the way down. Bring your arms down alongside your body, and on your next inhale, come on up into a locust pose. Turning the palms down towards the floor, reaching back through your fingertips. Really letting yourself feel the back body engaging here. Good. One more breath. And we are going to shift back now towards child's pose. So let yourself get your feet as close to the wall so that you touch the tips of your toes to the wall. And then go ahead and shift back into your child's pose. And you know if you need to keep your hips up, do. You know not to put stress on your knees. Breathe into your low back. Let yourself come up and walk a little bit over to the right with your hands. Once you get as far as you want to go, stay there and breathe. And then come on back through center. Walk your hands over to the left. And again, don't overdo. Go where you want. And then try to release your head. Stay there and breathe. Good. And then come on back into center. Long arms overhead here now. Because we're going to come on up to all fours, curl our toes under, and come back into down dog with our heels up the wall, pressing back equally out of our hands. And now if you're already going, yep, no, I'm not doing any more of this, you can come down and go to your forearms. If you feel good to lift a foot up the wall, you know, working a little more with your pressing back out of your hands here towards handstand prep, you can. Or you can go down to your forearms, right? So just play. Be mindful. Come down, rest if you need to. Walk up both feet if you want to. If you know that's too big of an angle in your hands, don't do it. Go to forearms if you'd rather. You definitely want to take your time. If you need to rest and then you decide you want to go up again, you're more than welcome to do that. You can stay resting however you need, being upside down or letting yourself, after being upside down, letting yourself come right side up sometimes feels best. Or sometimes you feel better to stay in your child's pose. So just be mindful if you do want to go up another time, let it be pretty soon now so that you can get in the last of what you want to practice here with inversion. Good. And from here, we're all going to come around to sitting. So let yourself bring your legs on around. Come a little bit away from the wall where you're not right too close to it, so you can let yourself be able to reach back and not hit the wall, in other words. And let yourself really have nice long legs. You can sit up on a blanket if you want, coming into staff pose, bringing your hands down towards the ground and lengthening up through the top of your head and feeling that sense of space between your ears and your shoulders, right? So you want to let yourself feel really easy there. Really allowing the shoulders to release down and feel that central column of your spine holding you up there. Sitting bones in the ground, tailbone is kind of reaching back a tiny little bit. That'll keep it from curling up under you and rounding that low back. So you want that little natural curve in your low back. Good. So we're going to inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, think of coming forward from your low back. You can lower your arms down, 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 maybe even reach your toes. Take a breath there in your forward bend. And then reach out beyond your feet. Feel like you're trying to anyway. And inhale your way all the way back up into this pose. And then circle your arms around behind you and we'll lift up into a reverse plank, however you want your hands to be. And you don't have to turn them fingertips down. They can be turned towards the wall behind you. We're going to come right back down to sit. We're going to inhale the arms all the way out again and up overhead. And we're going to reach forward again. Stay there for a breath. And then again, feel like you're trying to reach way beyond your feet. Inhale your way all the way back up. Circle your arms around behind you. And again, if you can lift up, do. If not, just open your chest. You don't have to do that reverse plank. And then we're going to come on back down again. One more time, inhaling the arms out and up overhead. And as you exhale, releasing your way forward into your forward bend. Bend your knees if you need, remember. One more breath. And then reach out again, forward and all the way up and out overhead. Circle the arms around behind you. And one more reverse plank if you got it in you, letting yourself do what you need. And then we're going to come on back down and come forward enough so that when you lie down, you're not going to bang your head in the wall. But let's hold behind our legs, walk our feet back a little, and come into a little boat pose. And at first, you can hold on, if you want, to your legs. Flex your feet. Let yourself kind of feel good. And then bring your hands to the outside of your legs. And you're kind of be, you can be above or right at your knees or below. Press your legs into your hands. Lengthen out through your spine. See if you can maybe let your legs come a little longer while you're pressing into those hands there. And then bend the knees again. And now, we're coming to a half boat. Like, let your legs come a little longer, but don't go very low. Really, now you're like hollowing out your belly. You're curling your tailbone up a little bit. And then you're going to come on back up, thinking of holding behind your thighs, lengthening your spine again. Good. And now from here, put your feet on the floor. Let yourself come back to your forearms. Right? And then from here, just let one leg come long. Doesn't matter which one. You've got your knees side by side. Press into your forearms now so you're not collapsing in your chest, right? You're reaching up with your chest. And now see if the other leg can join that one up there. And that's like a boat variation. Forces you to use your belly. If it's too much, don't do it. If it hurts your back at all, don't do it. One more breath. You can lower the legs down if you want. And if that's not hard, I don't know what is. And then bring your feet to the floor. We're going to come on down to the backs on the floor. Bring our knees into our chest. Come on into a little happy baby. Let your hips release, your low back. Roll side to side if you want. Good.
Where's my mommy?
And then bring your feet on down. Let's cross our right thigh over our left. Woman cross-legged. Bring your left arm over your right. Give yourself a hug. Now this is up to you. If you want to lift your feet off the floor and do the eagle wrap with your leg, you can wrap your right foot around behind. You don't have to. You can just lift the foot up and be flexed feet, right? And you can do your eagle arm wrap if you want. So, letting yourself at first imagine whether you're crossed or hugging or anything with your legs or your arms. Think about your elbows and your knees coming towards each other. And that's one thing, right? That puts the low back into the ground. And now let them separate, come apart, till the low back comes a little off the floor and stay there. And there's a big core pose right there on your back, eagle pose. Doesn't have to be a full wrap of either thing. One more breath. Squeeze your thighs towards each other. Unwrap. Let everything come undone. Put your feet on the floor, your arms on the floor. And we're going to do the other side. So, do we have left on top? We're going to bring the left on top.
Well,
I think we had right on top.
I did it the other way.
So we're going to bring the one you didn't do on top. There you go. And then bring your knees in. You can just flex your feet. You can wrap if you want. And then it's the opposite arm as leg if you're going to do the hug, right? So let yourself come into hug. Again, you don't have to do any kind of full wrapping here, but if you pull your knees and your elbows towards each other, feel how your back goes right to the mat. And then if you start to separate them, it comes up. And you don't want them to go too far. You've got to find just that place where, oh my gosh, my belly and my low back are crazily working here. One more breath. And then unwind everything. Put feet down, put your arms down, let your knees come side to side a little bit. Just softly going from one side to the other. And then bring your knees on in towards your chest. Let your arms stay stretched out long. And now as you exhale, lengthen your right leg long and bring it over towards your left hand into a twist. So your right foot is reaching towards your left hand. And then you're going to come back up to the top and bend both your knees. And then the left leg stretches out, and as you exhale, it's going to go over towards your right hand. Doesn't have to go all the way. That's just sort of the idea. And then bring it back up to the top. So you're going to keep switching, right? So the leg that's straight is going towards the opposite hand, and you can just come back and forth through center. If you like staying on one side in that twist, go for it. You stay for a couple of breaths, or if you don't like those twists at all, don't do them, and let yourself do a twist that feels good to you. Right? So if there's another twist that you'd rather do, double knees, or putting your feet on the floor, letting your knees come side to side, anything at all. Or maybe it's not even a twist that you're craving right now. Something else, do it. If you want to come into a shoulder stand, if you want to come into a bridge pose, if you want to come into plow pose, I'm serious, let your body take over right now. And give yourself a minute or two, right? How often do you even lie on the floor at home and give yourself a minute or two? Especially during this holiday season. So, not likely to find many quiet moments these next couple of weeks, let's face it.
We're gonna make time for that.
Yes. So that's what we're doing here. Now, how about a bolster for anybody? Or a blanket? If you need a little pillow under your head, I can bring a blanket just so you're not feel like you're tensing up in the back of your neck, or a bolster for underneath your knees, if that sounds good. Wave at me. Really just appreciate the ground underneath you. Feeling cradled by the ground and supported by the ground. And giving yourself time to benefit from all you just did. Just by these few minutes of quieting the mind. Coming back over and over to watch your breath. Letting yourself completely and fully relax.